The All Progressives Congress has since moved on following the conclusion of its primaries, the governorship primaries in Ekiti State. But how far will it go at the July 14 governorship election? And what are the fortunes of this party in Ekiti State? These and more questions we'll be asking on Fireworks today as I bid you welcome to your favorite Hard Talk investigative program on TVC. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Today my guest is a key player in that primary election. Let's take a short break during which you'll find out more. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned. My guest today is one of the aspirants in the Ekiti APC gubernatorial primaries and former Speaker, Ekiti State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Femi Bamisile, otherwise known as Batfems, and which I've come to recently know as the Octopus.
How you doing, ma'am?
Very well, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's start with what is most recent. After the conclusion of the primaries, there was news that all the aspirants, including the flag bearer, had a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja. That's after the successful completion of the primaries. What was the outcome of that meeting?
Thank you. Really, it was just a dinner party with the president, trying to put us together with the candidate. Even after much, the candidate had done a tour around some of the aspirants that did contest the elections with him. And I think the party needed to actually get us on the same note for the elections coming up in July 14th. So we all had a dinner with the president in Abuja. And it was more advisory, and it was more of us to actually understand why it is important that the party wins the elections coming up in July, and that's exactly what it was. We were all there, we all had a good time, interacted with the president, and that was it.
The flag bearer, the winner of that primary, has since reached out to all the other primaries in a reconciliation bid. Are you one of those aspirants that he reached out to?
Yes, from what he said when he came here the day after the elections, I think I was the second person that he came up to. He first met with a one-time governor of the state too, in person of Engineer Shagoni, and invariably came to my residence and we had a talk. And it was fruitful and in preparation for the elections, yes.
Now, he is the aspirant at that time that the others complained about, if I am not wrong. So, still he emerged victorious at the second attempt. What was different about the second primary?
All we noticed that particular elections, which was one of the issues that I discussed with him here, I said, thank God that the elections came the way it did the first time out, and what it is now, in being the candidate of the party, the choice of the people of particularly the delegates that voted in the elections, that if it had happened the first day the way it was going, probably the party would have disintegrated in the state, without a doubt, because everybody saw that there were skirmishes during the first elections. But be as it may now, we had a more, the elections was conducted in a more serene environment. One, the securities were all right. Two, most importantly, the voting pattern was much more civil and straightforward than what it was the first time out. And there were no interference from anybody or agencies and all that. So it became more acceptable to all the aspirants. And that's why I said, we thank God what happened the first time did happen, because if the results had come out from the first elections, we probably wouldn't be talking at the same manner at which we're talking today. So that's all I saw that was a bit different. We had a better elections this time around. Yeah, there might be complaints here and there, but we need to understand in an election, there will be someone who ends up winning, and obviously it's a win. It can be a win-win situation. Some has to lose, some has to win. But for us all in the party, the way I see it, we are all winners because the party APC will take the day.
Now, one of the complaints during that first botched primary was the open sale of votes, or what some of the aspirants chose to call sharp practices, right at the venue of the event. But one aspirant, as on this platform, opened up saying what was wrong was the sale of votes at the venue, but that other delegates, other aspirants rather, had camped delegates at the campaign period, not at the venue. So are you one of those who camped delegates, and did you give them anything to say thank you for coming?
No, for me, we need to be very clear about this. In any political battle, as we say in the face of contesting elections, it doesn't matter how you do it. It's about winning the elections. But you have to be civil about it. There is no crime, sincerely, in camping delegates for elections. There is none. If you can afford it, because the process of camping would entail a lot. You'd have to put them in a very enclosed environment whereby you'd have to feed them for a day or two. If you have that much money to spend, behold, you can't do that. So I don't see a problem in camping. I did not camp. I sure did.
Did you give the delegates something to get their support?
In politics, I wouldn't lie to you. The way it's been monetized in this country of today, yes, everybody at a point in time would have done something, either for transportation.
Did you?
Yes, I did give for transportation.
Would you like to tell us how much?
The little I could afford.
But you're not be specific.
For reasons well known to me, I probably won't say that out there. But everybody, like I said, to transport someone from, for instance, my local government, I'm from one of the farthest local governments in the state. To transport someone from my local government in Ekiti's local government to Ado would take 1,500 to come down here. So you would imagine that you need to give these people that are coming for these elections, because practically I don't think the party did provide for such transportation. So having your people who want to vote for you, you'd have to give them something for feeding, for transportation.
But isn't the monetization of the whole process part of the problem? Because when you give someone something, you camp them, you feed them, and you give them money to gain their support, automatically that person, delegate, has become prejudiced.
No.
And
It
would rather not reason out
You're right.
through scrutiny of the candidates by voting the most credible, but would rather vote the person that has taken care of him or her.
Let me put it this way. Even in the United States of America, when you bring delegates away from their homes, elections is going to be conducted in a place like Ohio, and you're coming from California to Ohio. You're going to be flying down. It's not going to be on the expense of the individual coming down. It has to be a party arrangement. So that's exactly what we're saying. If the party had done arrangements for delegates coming from their local governments to the center point of election, the likelihood is I would not be bothered with having to give someone transportation to come down. But don't forget, these delegates are coming, supposedly coming to vote for me. So I should be able to transport them from wherever it is they're coming from to the center point. So that's exactly what we do.
I'll get to that part about the party taking care of the whole logistics process.
That's right.
Shortly. But aspirants had the opportunity, after the meeting that held following the botched primary, to choose the direct voting system, which we gather was considered at that meeting. But it apparently did not go down well with some of the aspirants. At the end of the day, the aspirants decided to resort to the
indirect, yeah, that's right, the delegate
system.
So let me tell you.
Shouldn't this be considered to replace the delegate voting system so that primary elections would be more credible at the party level?
Let us go more political now. I won't lie to you. In the constitution of the party, it is clear, specifically written there. There are two, is either the direct form or the indirect form. Without a shadow of doubt, there are the pros and the cons of these two processes. Let me take, for instance, for you now, the just concluded delegate election in all the states, APC. There are different factions going about. And if you looked at it, or you have heard, obviously, from gathering information going around the states, there are a lot of crises during these primaries. These are just primary elections sorry, these are delegate elections to decide who is a delegate in a particular unit or ward. And a lot of people are being macheted for such processes. That's a direct election, whereby you go to wards, you queue up or line up behind a particular aspirant, and the aspirant physically is not there. Your representative is going to be there. The aspirant stays in his own hometown doing the same thing. Imagine a place whereby they're queued up without you being there. Your picture is just hung by your agent. The moment people see the queues go the way it does, and the other aspirants don't have much people on their queue, the likelihood is hoodlums would come and disrupt the entire process.
But this yes, can be done in a more enclosed environment?
If you're going to do that, it still involves
this
you
can
bringing...
be done electronically?
No. We've not got into that yet. The electronic voting system we're even asking for is still not workable within the system. So I don't want us to deny the fact that...
Why isn't it workable within the system?
It's not applicable yet. We've talked about even foreign voters, people who live or reside outside of the country, could be allowed to vote in elections, presidential elections. That still is not happening.
This can be done with a convergence of everyone who has to vote in a particular venue that is highly secure.
That's exactly what I'm saying, which means you still have to bring these delegates back to the city center, where the voting center is, and everybody works together to vote from there. But if you're dependent on having people vote from their various units and local governments, where the aspirants themselves are not, you would find out that the results of elections that would come to the center will be different from what obtains in the on ground where they were. We saw it happen in several elections in the past. I voted against the direct voting system, for real. What we need to do as a country and as a people is to go more technical and actually go into understanding of how elections are being conducted, not just through direct or indirect processes alone. There's what you call the collegiate system that works in the United States, whereby it's still the same process as choosing your delegates. But we need to be informed more or less. Now, people who form our delegates should be more educated, so that in the elections we just concluded, you found out that those that were determining the fate of governors in Ekiti State, where you call the citadel of understanding, most of them are palm wine tappers who are delegates. Most of them are market women who are delegates. That's fine, but they need to be able to read and write. You understand?
So that's why the electronic voting system will not work.
Would not work for now. That's right. On that particular election day, we still saw people who are not blind. You can imagine. The election was, your names were written out. Your picture was there. What else do you need? Just to turn. But people were still asking for helps. And they were not blind. So which meant they could not see or read the names that were there. So we need a more educative system. Even the processes of those who take charge of voting for who becomes their representatives in the legislative arm or in the executive arm, you need to have people who have it up there.
You talked about the party not taking care of the delegates, their logistics, transportation from their local government to the venue of the voting. Then why were the aspirants charged so much in terms at the state level notification, or is it letter of intent, 2.5 million, and at the national level you paid 5 million naira for the nomination forms proper. Right. So what were these funds spent on? Madam,
you see, the nomination form for Abuja, don't forget, the Abuja contingent deployed a sitting governor to oversee the elections. And X amount of money obviously would have been put for that purpose. And the election...
pay the sitting governor?
No. For those who came, and the logistics for a lot of things that they had to bring so many people with themselves to get the job done. The sitting governor can't do the job alone. It was, I think, a 5-man committee, election committee that came here. And even with the 5-man election committee, they needed so many hands the ones who will take the accreditation cards.
For a one-off job?
Oh, no doubt.
A one-off job?
It's
That's 7.5. Okay, at the national level, 5 million naira
was taken.
Times 33 candidates.
No doubt.
That's a lot of money.
It sure is.
So it stands to, it still begs the question.
No, but madam, that is...
For a one-off job.
No, hold on. That is not
and
the
and
fault.
the delegates' transportation was not taken care of
I want to make it so clear to you.
By the way, we've gathered from other aspirants that the delegates' transportation had to be taken care of from these funds, perhaps at the state level.
Madam, like I said, I won't see a fault of the national in this. If Ekiti State had presented 3 aspirants, that would mean only 15 million naira was sent to Abuja, which meant that the party needed to subsidize for funds for all these activities. But it was us that threw out 33 aspirants at the same time. You understand? So it doesn't really matter. The funds were meant to be used for the purposes it was meant to be used for. But what I'm saying in essence is we need to, as a party and as a nation, improve on our electoral and political system so that we don't get into all these hitch-ups that we find ourselves all the time.
But taking care of the electoral system has to do with decisiveness. As the All Progressives Congress demonstrated the political will to do this, especially
without a doubt.
With the way the first primary went.
No, it has nothing to do, sincerely, it has nothing to do, it's a cornucopia of so many things. What happened on the first day, without having to say so much of it, the elections were conducted in an open space at the stadium, 1. 2, there was an heavy downpour of rain, which disrupted a lot of things for about 30 minutes. And we found out that when it started raining, the hoodlums came into the arena. And the only error there was for the officiating minister to have asked that everybody goes out again and restarts the process again, or the election be cancelled on that particular day. But we went ahead with it, and that was why we saw the things that we did. You understand?
I'll let that rest. Now let's look at the results, the outcome of the primary results. We had the winner emerging with as much as 900 and something votes, and the first runner-up, former Governor Shegoni, 400 and something votes. Now, when compared with how the other aspirants performed, when you also recall that the other aspirants weren't exactly in support of the candidate that emerged victorious. Now, why didn't the other aspirants team up, to counter his popularity with the delegates?
That's what that's what I just told you now. Interest, political interest. It becomes difficult for you to knock off interest when it comes to electioneering purposes. You want to conduct an election, or you want to run an election for an office. I remember we had a meeting with some of our leaders in Lagos at the Southwest level, and it was said to us, even at Abuja, that for those that don't feel comfortable to still go ahead with the elections, they had the opportunity to pull out at this point in time. But everybody, when it comes to elections, everybody feels you have it up there, particularly your meeting with those to-be delegates who would vote for you. And the delegates would all sing to you, make you understand that you're the one that would win the election, so people get easily carried away. It needs for self-assessment. That's politics. You need to reevaluate yourself. I'm almost certain that if you ask some of us to come back to the elections again the same way we did it, people would have everything this time around, because
you had 179 votes.
Yeah, 179 votes, yes.
Why didn't you consider at that time? Why wasn't there any need for evaluation at that time for you to step down, perhaps for former Governor Shegoni?
Madam, I did a clear evaluation of myself with the amount of work that I've put into the race for over 3.5 years. And it was clear within my head and my time and the people that worked together that we're going to win this election, sincerely. And we did this for straight 3.5 years, combing the entire state, 177 wards, went through the 177 wards 4 times out. Don't forget, I came into the party about 4 years ago, 2 days into Femi's election, the second term bid. That's when I came into the party. And I held the party for straight 4 years. I was on ground with them, the delegates, meeting them on a daily basis. So I knew within myself that we are done enough to actually take these elections. But one thing you clearly need to understand about the nature of man, it is something that you do with yourself, by yourself, that you can determine. But once you need 1 or 2 or 3, 4, 5 people to do for you, you're subjecting yourselves into the caps of witnesses of those people. So it is for them to take a decision, and sincerely, you don't fault a man when they take such decisions. So for me as a person, I've taken faith to understand that the choice of the people would prevail. And one thing with me, I said clearly from day one, I would not go into these elections allowing anybody to impose on us. It is the wish and the will of the people of Ekiti that would prevail. If Ekiti says this is the person we want, we don't have a choice but to go with a particular candidate.
Now, just before we go on break, like the typical Nigerian politician, would I be right to say that in the next 4 years you will throw your heart in the ring again?
That's too early to say, but it's for God to decide.
All right. You're watching Fireworks. My guest today is the former Speaker, Ekiti State House of Assembly, and one of the aspirants in the just concluded Ekiti State gubernatorial primaries, Right Honorable Femi Bamisile. There's more to review about the fate of the All Progressives Congress in the coming election and, of course, in Ekiti State as a whole. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. My guest today is one of the aspirants in the Ekiti State gubernatorial primaries that was just concluded, Right Honorable Femi Bamisile. Now, what's the fate of the APC in this coming election against the backdrop of the candidate that was chosen, who many say is unpopular with the people, won, and was roundly defeated in the 2014 election by the PDP?
Yes. Let me quickly speak about what happened at the 2014 elections, to my understanding. Don't forget, I just left the party PDP then to join the APC. I won't lie to you, there were some policies that were made by government then that were not friendly to the people of the state. And those were one of the factors that determined the reason why they lost the elections in that manner. That's one. Two, most importantly, in government would not be run by the executive governor himself. There are lieutenants that worked with the governor who implemented those policies. Those particular principal officers were one of the major factors too that determined the failure of that government at that point in time. There's not one particular individual who could just face the wrath of the people of Ekiti in that manner and lose so decisively bad in an election, clearly. I found out this because we had, during the process of wanting to run for these elections, we did a thorough study as in going around the entire 177 wards, asking questions. Was it the party that people of Ekiti didn't want, or the man who was at the helm of affairs, or the people that ran government with him? And I want to clearly tell you, from all our findings, Dr. Kadi Fahimi had his own faults, no doubt, because the bulk of all stops on his table, no doubt about that. I'm not trying to shift blames or anything, but a lot of the people talked about individuals that were part of that particular government that had these erroneous powers ascribed onto themselves as governors of the state. And that was why people, the governor wasn't reachable. He totally detached himself from the people of the state. And those are the things that people talked about at that point in time. But I want to assure you, the gentleman now, by the process of the elections, has won the primaries from within the party. It is the duty of us all who actually went into the elections with him, particularly with what we found out. For instance, myself and my team, we've made up our minds to work and comb the entire state to make sure he wins the elections. We would change the psyche of the people of Ekiti. We are coming into this government now to be partakers in government. We would not allow for what happened in the last dispensation to actually happen again in this time.
So you're giving him your support?
Oh, I don't have a choice.
You're going to urge your own supporters to vote for Dr. Kadi.
I don't have a choice. It is a party thing now. It's gone beyond.
Are you hoping to be part of his cabinet? in case he wins?
No. I was one-time Speaker of the House of Assembly. I contested the same elections with him. I don't think, not out of pride, that there is a place for me to work within the state again.
Now, let's look at changing the psyche of the people. Now, the incumbent has won the hearts of Ekiti people, and not just with his stomach infrastructure, which is being redefined by the State Assembly, but by just identifying with the people. With the people.
That's right.
Now, your own candidate is seen at best as elitist.
He
Come down to the people's level?
He was elitist then. And for some of us who have actually joined in the race now, wanting to actually work with the system and with him and the party to win the elections, I am as down to the people as you can get. I reside there for over 18.
Can Dr. Femi sit with Ekiti people?
Why not?
People in a local buka?
Why not?
Eating amala?
Why not? Why not? He eats at home, doesn't he?
He does,
yes.
but with the locals.
He will do that.
With the Okada riders.
He will do that this time around, trust me. He will do that. But if it takes for us to force him to do it, he will. You had
yourself said that at the start of this primary that he was leaving certainty for uncertainty. All of a sudden, you're expressing so much confidence that he's going to come out victorious in this election. I'm
telling you, madam, we have to put all we have in it. I told Dr. Femi when we met, I made it very clear to him, if I'd worked my heart out for about 4 years, the worst that would happen to this party is for us to lose, which means I'm the greatest loser. So for me as a person, with what I know within the state and the people of the state, I know how much they love us here. We will put everything in to make sure it wins the election.
Lastly, before we go, party members have gone ahead to remove, well, unofficially, the party chairman, accusing him of openly supporting a candidate and hobnobbing with the ruling party in the state. And they have passed a vote of no confidence on him. What are your thoughts?
When I heard that, I was a bit dismayed, actually. But I found out clearly that it is just political rascality that led on to that. Because the man who actually said he had removed the party chairman and put himself there and made someone the secretary, who is he working for? Who is he working with? Is he on his own without anything? We know all these things. So the little games that play out in politics, the things that we do underneath that is unknown to an average voter, we've been able to resolve amongst ourselves. So all that has become history now within the party. There's peace within Ekiti State, and the party is well geared, ready, prepared for an election.
There's more to pursue on this program, but there is no time. I want to thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Madam.
Right Honorable Bamisile. That's how it's been on Fireworks today. Of course, we'll get another opportunity to explore some of these issues and put them in better perspective. So join us again same time next week. We'll bring you another incisive edition. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now.